When talking about the top coaches currently in college football right now, Ryan Day is certainly in that discussion. He has won 86% of his games, he has a 46-5 record in the Big Ten, he recruits at a high level, he has 2 Big Ten titles under his belt, and has made it to the national title game. So all things considered, he is a very good coach. And despite all that, there is a high possibility that he gets fired depending how he does in the playoffs. So let's talk about it. When it comes to being the head coach at a blue blood college football program like Ohio State, you will always have high expectations, and there are 2 things you gotta do if you're the head honcho at OSU. Number 1, beat that team up north, and 2, compete for a national title. So let's take a look at those 2 key points, starting with point number 1, beating that team up north. Michigan versus Ohio State is one of the premier college football rivalries in all of the sport. This is a rivalry that dates back all the way back in 1835 when Ohio and Michigan were fighting over a strip of land. This conflict is known as the Toledo War. In the end, Ohio got the strip of land, while in exchange, Michigan occupied what is known as today as the Upper Peninsula. I am not going to hash out the entire history of Ohio State versus Michigan. That could be its own video one day, and there's also already amazing videos out there discussing this. So to make it short, Ohio and Michigan were still beefing for years after that conflict, and they found a way to release this anger by having their state universities play each other in American football. So yeah, this feud runs deep. These teams hate each other so much that leading up to the game, OSU fans will cross out the letter M with a red X from all signs around Columbus, and also buildings at Ohio State. I don't think I can emphasize how much these teams hate each other. It goes without saying, a win over your team pretty much makes your entire season. Ryan Day was able to beat Michigan once as the Buckeyes head coach in 2019, but after that, he has lost to the Wolverines 4 straight times, losing by 40 points in both 2021 and 2022, while also losing to Michigan in 2023 by a score of 30-24. But this most recent loss compared to the 3 other losses has got to be one of the worst ones yet. Heading into this season, this was a championship or bust year for the Buckeyes. Ohio State constructed a $20 million NIL championship roster with tons of impact players like Will Howard and Caleb Downs, just to name a few. They also brought in former UCLA head coach Chip Kelly to be their new OC. Ohio State was not messing around this year, they won a championship. Outside of a loss to number 1 ranked Oregon, the Buckeyes were firing on all cylinders for the entire season. All they needed to do was beat a 5-5 Michigan having a down year to clinch their spot in the Big Ten title game. And what does Ohio State do? They lost 13-10. They lost to a Michigan team missing Will Johnson, Colston Loveland, Donovan Edwards when he was out after the second quarter, and an injured Michigan O-line. They lost to that. Not to mention that Michigan has one of the worst passing offenses in the nation. All they had going for them was the run game. In the final drive, Michigan ran the ball 10 times and was able to kick the game-winning field goal. In previous matchups, both of these teams were ranked and were fighting for a playoff spot, so both teams had something to fight for. But this year, Michigan was fighting to become bowl eligible. OSU was a 3-touchdown favorite, and yet they still lost. And do you know what happened after that? Penn State, yes, Penn State, the team that OSU beat this year, took their spot in the Big Ten title game. One of the reasons why Ryan Day has struggled against Michigan after 2019 was that Michigan was the more physical team, and instead of using their advantages like their passing game, their skilled receivers, and the outside running game, Ryan Day tried to out-Michigan, and it clearly wasn't working. Even the play calls in this recent game was so baffling. They tried running the same inside zone against a strong Michigan interior defense, and it was not working. So that's a strike on the first point. So let's now take a look at the second point, competing for a national title. Outside of Alabama, Ohio State has a fan base that expects their team to be in the picture for a national championship every season. Ryan Day has been to the playoffs 3 times and has a 1-3 record in the playoffs. In 2019, the Buckeyes faced off against the Clemson Tigers in the Fiesta Bowl. The Buckeyes were up 16-0 in the first half against the Tigers, but momentum swung in the direction of the Tigers thanks to a controversial targeting call on Shaun Wade, and by the second half, the Tigers went on a 29-point run, sealing the win for Clemson. In the cursed and shortened COVID 2020 season, the Buckeyes finished with a 6-0 record due to their shortened schedule, in which they were criticized for, but they were able to beat the favorite Clemson Tigers in a revenge game, which sent the Buckeyes to the national championship, but they were routed by the Crimson Tide 52-20 in the title game. In 2022, despite losing 2 games, the Buckeyes still made the playoffs, thanks to USC during the annual Pac-12 tradition of screwing up their playoff chances. the Buckeyes would take on the #1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs and would take them to the edge. They had a chance to win the game, but kicker Noah Ruggles missed a 50-yard field goal. So when looking at his track record in the playoffs, there is a reason why OSU fans are very tired of Ryan Day, and also his record in big games aren't good as well. There was this meme I saw that compared Ryan Day as the Michael Jordan of James Franklin's, and I don't think I've heard a more true comparison than that. If you think about it, weirdly enough, James Franklin and Ryan Day are kind of the same coach. They both recruit at a high level, they beat up on the rest of the Big Ten, they both struggle against the top teams in the Big Ten, and their record against top 5 ranked teams aren't that great. And trust me, as a Penn State fan, I know how it feels to watch your coach struggle against the top teams in your conference, the top 5 opponents, and also losing big games. Believe me, I am still not over a certain Minnesota game that happened. Still pissed about that game, I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to Ryan Day, I feel like if he was anywhere else, the fan base would be more accepting. For instance, let's say if he was at Maryland doing the same stuff at Ohio State, I feel like most of the fan base at Maryland would let it slide, since the Maryland football program doesn't have that much success when it comes to football. But at Ohio State, this isn't going to cut it. The playoff game between the Vols and Buckeyes is going to be an intriguing game to watch, not only because of the matchup, but also because of the implications if OSU loses. If Ryan Day doesn't at least make it out of the first round, he is almost certainly getting canned. And also because it came out today that Mike Vrabel is linked as a possible head coaching candidate for the Buckeyes. So Ryan Day is probably coaching for a job this Friday. So either Ryan Day is going to rise above the situation and may even go on a playoff run, silencing his critics, or he is going to be learning Matt Conference real damn soon. So anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel as it really helps out. You can watch another one of my videos right here as well. But anyway guys, that is all from me. I am OneDubz, thanks for stopping by.